Hiya, how are you doing? Today I want to talk to you about the attempts of creationism and intelligent design to be allowed to have their stuff in scientific classrooms. Okay, it's not going to be a scientific video, and it's not going to be an abusive video. I'm not going to be, just trying to land a punch on you. I want to try and show you what it feels like on our side of the fence. Okay. I've got an uncle who I find very impressive in life, and he's got a favourite phrase of his is there are no problems, there's only people, and he runs a big business with lots of people in it. So and I reckon he's right. There are no problems, there's only people, and a lot of the heat and the anger and violence, intellectual violence in this debate, I think is unnecessary if we tried to understand each other's point of view, not scientific point of view, human point of view. Okay, so I'm going to try and show you what it feels like on our side of the fence in this confrontation that we have. Classrooms, science classrooms, are the bottom layer of a hierarchy, the hierarchy of science. At the top are all, the heroes of science, the geniuses of science, the famous names, and in between those you have, all the people who work in science, different levels of experience and ability, etc., etc. And at the bottom of the science classrooms, everyone in that hierarchy began their scientific careers in science classrooms. Science classrooms are the springboard that throw people up into the hierarchy as high as they can go, and some people go all the way to the top. And this world of science is our world. We like it. I love science. I think it's great. I think it's really interesting and wonderful and blah blah blah. And everybody in science, probably feels the same. And we're proud of our achievements. We're proud of science. It has done a lot. You look back look at lifestyles a few hundred years ago and modern Western lifestyles now. Science can claim a lot of the responsibility for that. We've got a method that is producing some wonderful things, okay, and we're proud of that, right? And probably we're quite protective of that. In the same way, that you're proud and protective of your religion and you love your religion, and that's fine. We feel that way about science, right? So, what does this disagreement look like then? Well, it's obviously pretty hot. It's obviously very personal. The stakes are high. People's people's worldview are on the line. One of us is right, one of us is wrong, and the stakes are high. Okay, so to get back to science classrooms, what you're trying to do is you're trying to say, look, we've got two opposing theories. Let's put them both into the classroom. It sounds so fair. And I can see from your point of view, you think, what's the big deal? Why is science being so unreasonable? We're not. You want to come in and give us some science that you've been doing. Okay, you can do that. You've done that. We've looked at it, and basically the qualified people at the top have said, no, you see, you're wrong there, and there, and there, that's not right, etc., etc. It's got rejected, it's got stamp wrong on it, fail. You might not like that. I'm sure you don't like that. But That's the result that the scientific method has produced when it has examined your claims. They're wrong, and not just a little bit wrong. They're a very, very, very different set of claims compared to the evidence that science believes it has collected. And so it's not something we are prepared to allow into the classroom. And what happens next in the story is where an awful lot of the fighting comes from. Because your reaction to that fail stamp is, well, screw you then. I'm going to go and talk to my political friends. And you do that. You go and talk to the politicians, and you've got a lot of politicians on your side, on religion's side anyway. So you go off to talk to politicians. Why is a question we might ask, but anyway you do. You go off to the politicians who are not scientists and who are not qualified to decide what science is. The science curriculum in classrooms is decided by the scientific hierarchy. Ultimately it filters down from the people at the top. What is important in science? That's decided by scientists. What do new people entering science need to know? That's decided by scientists. The next generation of scientists will need to know this. Teach it in a school classroom. And you've gone off to a completely different authority, you know, the legal and the governmental hierarchies, and are trying to crowbar open the science classroom. You're trying to take this shortcut, bypassing the scientific hierarchy, and strong-arm something into the science room that comes ultimately from religion. Which feels very disrespectful, to be honest, because we do not feel that you are part of our world. We do not feel that you are inside the hierarchy of science, for one very simple reason. You have a fixed answer that you are trying to prove. Genesis is always going to be Genesis. It's unchangeable, and that's what you're trying to prove. And at the moment, you've collected some evidence that you can present with it and make it look good. But that's only 1% of the evidence that we have found in the world. And you've got 99% of the evidence still to go. You know, you really haven't got a very coherent theory at the moment. It doesn't explain most of the evidence. Now, a normal scientist would say, better change my theory in some way, because it's not covering everything, it's only sort of fitting. Looks like I was wrong, better change the theory. You're not doing that. You're saying, well, if we keep going with this, maybe in the future we'll find where we were going wrong, or what we didn't know, and we'll be able to explain the big 99% as well. That gives you two things for that. For doing science that way, two things happen. One, you don't get in the science classroom because you're not there yet. You know, come back when you can explain the 99%. Come back when you've got the answer. You're jumping the gun. So that's one thing. The other thing is, you kind of get to do your science over there because you're trying to make the world fit one fixed answer. We're very suspicious of what you're doing and the way you're doing it. Not like because you're Christians. It's not that we don't like religion. It's that just it's not how science is done. It's like, well, if you're going to keep going with that research, you do it on your own. You're certainly not going to get any funding from normal science. You're not not because you're religious and we don't like religious people. It's because your science does not hold out any hope for being successful. Not for us anyway. You've got hope it will. Okay, so you go and do it over there. And really, that is where we should leave it. That is just where the position should reach a status quo. But rather than do that, which is a very reasonable offer, rather than do that, you go off to the politicians and try and get this shortcut into the classroom. And I don't know, have you ever considered what it might be like for a science teacher to have to do what you're asking them to do? Really, horrible idea for me as a science teacher to have to sort of say, kids, I'm going to teach you today about evolution, a thing I love, a thing I'm really interested in. I think it's fantastic, the theory of evolution. I think it makes your God much more magnificent, personally. But in that process of telling the kids about evolution, getting them into science, I've then got to go, oh, by the way, the government insists that I tell you there is an alternative, valid scientific argument that says the Earth is 6,000 years, and I read out your prepared religious ideas, which I know don't qualify as science. Can't you see? That is going to make people pop blood vessels. The way you are going about trying to get in the classroom. It would be perfectly reasonable to teach alternative scientific theories to evolution. We would be happy to do that. Go get one. Go find one. Good luck with it. But until you have got one, it doesn't get in. What confuses us a lot is that you demand we take you seriously as scientists. But you don't take us seriously as scientists. You demand respect, you demand that you're listened to, but you don't listen to us. And we've got the track record, we've got the trophy cabinet. You haven't. I could say, what can you point to in the world that has come out of your research? Have you got a Mars lander? It's like it feels very rude. And I'll give you an example. I love this example, and I bet it's an example that you haven't noticed. I'm going to ask you what you will think is a silly question. Have you noticed that Richard Dawkins is an evolutionist? And of course you would go, yeah. But Richard Dawkins' 10-year rampage against religion, he has been on your back for, I guess, about 10 years. Smacking you on. Oh, he's, a raging bull. You think his anger at religion just comes directly from the fact that he's studied too much evolution. The fumes of evolution have addled his brain and he's this God-hating atheist. No. He's only human. There are no problems. There's only people. Richard Dawkins has gone on a 10-year rampage against you lot because you kept kicking his door down. Hello, it's me again, Mr. Dawkins. I want to talk to you again about the young Earth theory and why it should be taught in science class. And he said, we've had this conversation. I've asked you to leave. Can you get out of my office, please? And you don't. And in fact, what you do is you go down to Fox News as a group. You go down to Fox News, your key speakers, and strawman the hell out of evolution. Present this, really sort of negative version of evolution for public consumption that equates it with being social Darwinism, Hitler, Nazis, etc., evil, and that we're really unreasonable for not letting your perfectly decent scientific theory into the classroom, etc. You're not, you paint us in such a dark light, And you paint Dawkins and Darwin. Dawkins loves Darwin. He worships the guy, not in a religious way. He's not a god. But Dawkins loves Charles Darwin. And you come up with things like, oh, on his deathbed he completely recanted his anything he believed in. No, he didn't. It's a lie. And you misquote him, straw man him, etc. And you've done it for his whole career, and he's got a shining CV, and you're doing dumps all over it, dumps all over his lovely CV, again and again and again and again. The reason Richard Dawkins tore you a new one is not because he's a God-hating atheist, end of story. It's because he's only human, and you've been meddling in a thing a place you don't belong, and making unreasonable demands. Now please try and look at it like that. Because at one point, Richard Dawkins, the mild-mannered Richard Dawkins, clearly snapped, after one dump too many on his CV, clearly snapped and said, "You bang!" And boy, did he give you a black eye. You were asking for it. The way you are trying to muscle in to the science classrooms and muscle into science is not the way into science. You're allowed in when you've got a working scientific model that meets our standards of science. Until that day, you do your science over there. Okay, because it makes no sense to us what you say, and provably no sense based on everything we know. And as I say, we've got the trophy cabinet. Okay, I would perhaps suggest you rethink the way you're doing science, because we think you've got it upside down. You've got an answer, and you're trying to make the world fit to it. We've had a look at the results of that activity, and those results are not getting into the science classroom unless you bully us into that. If you did do that, at the very first opportunity, science is going to crowbar it out again. And you will have stoked up so many people, determined, insulted, and emotionally, scarred and wounded, that the next time you come and see us, and saying, "Oh, can I get back in this classroom again, please? Because I've got this new thing." Well, fuck off. I remember you. Go on, piss off. Nobody likes a bully. You are, trying to protect your worldview, your religion, your beliefs that you care about. I sympathise. You've got a bit carried away with your concerns about where science is going. I can sympathise with that. We keep stripping away a lot of biblical accuracy. We really don't intend to. We're not your enemy. All we are doing is exploring the world. And our trophy cabinet says we're finding things that work. If you bully us this time, you will not be welcome next time. If you believe that your science will ultimately triumph, then do your science. Because all this politics stuff speaks of someone who is insecure about the whole situation. If you think you're going to win this scientific battle, then stick to science, do your science, find the answer, prove we're wrong. Getting your muscly mates to come round and prod us on the chest and say, "Oi, you're going to do what we say," ultimately suggests you don't think you're going anywhere with your science, which ultimately suggests why the hell should we have it in a science classroom? Anyway, there we go. Thank you very much for listening. And I would love a reply. I really would like to know your reaction to this. I hope I've showed you some things you didn't know about how we feel, about why Richard Dawkins, seems to be gunning for you, and etc. That we feel that there are causes and abuses and all those things. I'd love to know what you think about how you feel mistreated by us, and I would love to know. Do you think it's fair what you're doing to get equal time in the classroom for intelligent design? Do you think it's fair that you're going through the political route, this kind of scooting into the science classroom, bypassing the science hierarchy? Do you think that's fair? I don't. Do you? We feel bullied. Do you think you're bullying us, etc.? I'd love to know. I tell you one thing I don't want though. One thing I do not want is a scientific reply. I do not want to know what you think about the second law of thermodynamics, or radiocarbon dating. I am not interested in what you think about that, because me personally, I can't break any new ground on this subject. But there's people up in the hierarchy who can and who have and who do. And they have provided very clear answers. Fail. I'm going with them, okay? And it's them you've got to convince, not me. So I do not want a scientific argument, okay? Other than that said, have a lovely day. Have a very nice sunny day, I hope, where you are. Bloody cold and snowy outside here. Right. Thank you for listening. See ya.